know you kind of started in one thing, you pivoted to the health coaching stuff. How come you decided did you give that up completely? Was it not working? Or were you just like, hey, I'm way better at this, I should stick to that?
Yeah, it was really funny because I think I needed like a divorce period from being a lawyer. I need a little bit of space, and I needed my like rebel moment where I was like, I don't want to be a lawyer. I forget this whole thing. And I just really wanted to do something different. And I think for the first time in my life, like I was somebody who thought that creativity was just limited to like artists, like people who could draw and paint, and I can't do that at all. But then I realized that I had this creative side that I was like, I love Canva, I love writing, like I love video editing and design, all of this stuff. And I realized like I really like this, but I didn't like the subject matter. Like I had made the mistake that I think a lot of people make, that I made my passion my business. Sometimes that works out for people, but for me personally, it was like, I just want to cook. Like I don't want to document it. I didn't want to film it. I just want to cook. So it didn't feel right. And that's when my favorite word in the whole wide world is curiosity. And I just got very curious about what I was seeing go on. And people were asking me questions. I would go to conferences and stuff and people would be like, hey, you used to be a lawyer, right? Like, let me ask you this about LLCs. And I'd be like, no, that's not what I do. That's not what I do anymore. But then I just started listening and really like observing what was going on. Why did they not understand? Where were they looking? Why were they not getting what they were looking for? And I took that and packaged it up in a new business.
I think that's great learning as well for anybody who's trying to figure out what they want to do. It's like, what are all of the people who talk to you ask you questions about? Mm-hmm. What are the answers that you're giving people? Is it aligned with what you're making content about?
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, it's super interesting. Okay, awesome. And then when it came to moving online and sort of starting the online courses and trainings and PDFs and all that sort of stuff, at what point did you kind of just have it as a hobby? And then at what point did you start actually generating some revenue from it and feel like, hey, this is actually a legitimate business that I could pursue?
Yeah, so with the legal business, I generated revenue in my first month. I actually have the original Post-it note still in my desk. My revenue goal for July of 2017 was $2,000. And I went $2,400 over it, and I could not believe it. And I was keeping like a little like scratch pad of like $400 over, $800 over. And I thought I was like the richest human alive. I couldn't believe it because I was just like, the fact that I like put something on my website and people bought it, that was crazy. So I would say that it was at least taking off early on. I often tell the story, my main product now is called the Ultimate Bundle, and I often tell the story that like when I started the Ultimate Bundle, I would sell like one or two of the Ultimate Bundle a month. It's $2,000 a piece. And I thought, again, like I've made it, I can call it a day, like retire, yes, all I need. And then at one point I remember I hit like 5 on average, and I was like, this is just crazy, right? And so now, like we just finished a promo that in like a week we sold hundreds of it. And so now this one product has generated many, many, many millions of dollars in just a couple of years. And I'm just shocked. And like that was not my intention. But I think a lot of hard work and dedication over time, I really took this like slow and steady approach, and it has worked over time.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing. Like you actually hit revenue very, very early in comparison to a lot of the people that we interviewed. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think the one thing is, consistency too. You've got to do it day in, day out. But no, that's super interesting that you were able to turn it around so quickly. And then in terms of your Ultimate Bundle, so for everybody listening, it's essentially a pack that is to give you everything you need on the legal side for starting and protecting your business. There's a lot of stuff in there. How did you kind of start building that out? Did you just do it all at once? Did you do any research to be like, hey, what should I put in this? Or did you slowly build it up? How did you kind of like create that offer or create that product? Because it's all digital.
Yeah, it's a really good question. And this is a really good lesson for people to learn. So this was another thing where when I started out, I only sold like individual a la carte legal templates. And what I kept consistently hearing from customers was like, hey, would you ever consider putting these into like a package? Sometimes they'd even use the term bundle, and they were looking for a discount, of course, but also so that I could essentially direct them as to like, what contracts do you need? What policies do you need as an online business owner? And so I thought about that. I thought that was really interesting. But I also started hosting free sales calls, and I had 1,200 sales calls with people, and I took like really detailed notes on all of these calls. And I noticed on the calls that I had the same questions over and over. And I used to joke with my husband that I could record my answers and like plop myself on the phone and walk away because everyone was asking me the same thing. And then one day I just had this like duh moment where I was like, if that's the case, I should just record my answers to all of these things and put it into a course. And so I created it, and then I got 15 people to purchase it at a very, very reduced rate. And in exchange, got a little interview with them where I asked for feedback. I took their feedback, integrated it into the product, and then like, boom, off to the races. And I still do this now. I'm constantly tinkering with it, making it better, adding to it, improving it. So if I could give any advice to people too, like one thing I think is really missing in our industry is really, really focusing on actually creating a good product that people really like and giving them a good experience. And then we take customer service really seriously, even when it was just me before I had employees. And that like cultivated a lot of word of mouth sales as well, which is why I think it snowballed over time.